His lifetime record 1-0 against the Dodgers.
And the lineup for the Dodgers this afternoon: Juan Samuel, the center fielder, leading off. You'll remember him with the Mets last year. Willie Randolph, the ex-Yankee, batting second and playing second. Cal Daniels, who spent most of his early career with Cincinnati, batting third. The right fielder, Hubie Brooks, very popular still in New York. He'll bat fourth. Mickey Hatcher, the first baseman, hitting fifth, followed by Mike Sharperson, who is the third baseman. Mike will bat sixth. Rick Dempsey, the catcher, batting seventh. He's been around for 4 decades as a major league player. Alfredo Griffin, the shortstop, hitting eighth. And on the mound, John Wetteland, who features not a wet one, but a curveball.
Very good. And he also features wild pitches. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. The defense for the Mets: Marshall at first, Jeffries at second, Elster at shortstop, Johnson at third. McReynolds, Boston, and Strawberry in the outfield, left to right. And the catcher is Lyons. So Davey Johnson managing his 1,000th game. Davey with a record of 590 wins, 409 losses, a .590 percentage. That's fourth in the all-time list since 1900, percentage-wise. And the umpires for the game: Dutch Renard behind home plate, Terry Taylor, the umpire at first base, Greg Bonet, the umpire at second, and Bill Hahn, the umpire at third. Juan Samuel stepping into the batter's box. Juan hitting .220 for the year. He has 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. And he leads the National League in stolen bases. He moves out in the bunting position, takes the first pitch for ball 1. Juan in yesterday's ball game was 2 for 5. The 1-0 pitch by Viola is bunted on, and it's bunted foul.
Dodgers doing their homework with advanced scout Phil Reagan. If you remember that game that Viola had against the Astros down in the Dome, Eric Yelding got all 3 hits. 2 of them bunched to the right side. Viola really falls toward third, so right-handers can push that ball by him and try to get Jeffries to field it.
The 1-1 pitch to Samuel is a fastball inside, 2 balls, 1 strike. The best game that Viola pitched last year, as Tom Lasorda tries out his stroke, was on August 28th when Frank Viola and Oral Hershiser matched up. It marked the first time 2 previous Cy Young Award winners had ever matched up in a year following the year they won the Cy Young Award. Hershiser and Viola. Viola won that game 1-0. And it was a masterpiece.
The reason for that is obvious. You don't usually trade a pitcher who won the Cy Young Award the year before. Viola traded to the National League, going against Hershiser.
And the 3-2 pitch, and it's hit to center field. Moving back is Boston. And Darrell Boston makes the catch. That was Viola's first National League shutout. He's had 1 other since then. And that was this year. And it marked also the first time he ever had a base hit in the major leagues. And he got that off one of the toughest pitchers in the game, Hershiser. Willie Randolph now the batter. He's hitting .283 with 1 home run, 9 runs batted in. Randolph with a base hit last night in 2 official at-bats. He was hit by a pitch and also was walked. And he also was low bridged by Doc Gooden. Whether it was on purpose or not, we don't know. And speaking of milestones, Randolph last year on August 22nd hit that infamous 9th inning 3-run home run off Don Ossie to beat the Mets a ball game right there, and dropped them 2.5 games back in the pennant race, and they just fell out from that time on.
Saw a shot there, Fernando Valenzuela. There's Fernando. Interesting little note. There are 2 pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball with the initials FV. There's one of them. The other one on the mound, Frank Viola. 2 in the history of the game, and they're in the park today.
That's a milestone in itself,
Yeah,
isn't it?
cute, huh?
That is good. Little trivia. Mark that date down in your notebook. It's May 12th. First time it happened this year. Happened last year, I guess. They have never faced each other. Valenzuela, of course, having arm problems, but making a good comeback this year. 2-2 pitch to Randolph, swung on and missed, so Randolph is struck out. Valenzuela, incidentally, 2-3 for the year with an earned run average of 3.
Randolph swinging through the high fastball. That's strikeout number 46 on the year for Frank Viola. I think we mentioned it on the opening. That's the most remarkable thing. He has walked only 5 all year and struck out 46 now.
Gooden leads the league in strikeouts with 53, picking up 15 last night in 7 innings. Now the batter will be Cal Daniels. Daniels hitting .321 with 4 home runs, 13 runs batted in. And the curveball for a ball. Daniels, a lifetime .302 batter with 58 home runs in 4 years in the major leagues. He was traded by Cincinnati to the Dodgers in the middle of the year. And the fastball, a strike call. Daniels with the Dodgers hit .342. He was in only 11 games with 2 home runs. And a good pitch again by Frank Viola. A good curveball there. You remember Daniels had a salary settlement with Cincinnati when Marge Schott flipped a coin to see whether or not he would get his figure or hers, and he won the flip.
Wasn't that the difference, I think, between $300,000 and $325,000, something
right.
like that, a couple of years ago?
$300,000 or $325,000, and she said, well, I'll flip you for it. And he said, okay, I'll take you on, and he won. So he picked up an extra $25,000 as Viola strikes out 2 of his first 3 batters in this game. The score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Dodgers nothing, the Mets coming up. And now here's a word from the New York Daily News. For the Dodgers, John Wetteland with a record of 1-2, an earned run average of 7.62. He's walked 3, struck out 13, given up 16 hits in 13 innings. And he's 0-2 against the Mets lifetime.
And the lineup for the Mets, Gregg Jeffries leading it off, followed by Kevin Elster, his 4th game, batting 2nd. Howard Johnson hitting 3rd, followed by Darryl Strawberry batting 4th. Kevin McReynolds in left hitting 5th. Mike Marshall, the first baseman, batting 6th. Darrell Boston in center hitting 7th. Catcher Barry Lyons batting 8th, and Frank Viola batting 9th.
And John Wetteland with his first pitch to Gregg Jeffries, and he gets it in the strike zone for a called strike. The defense for the Dodgers at first base, Mickey Hatcher, Willie Randolph at second, Alfredo Griffin playing shortstop, and Mike Sharperson playing 3rd. And a ball call. It's 1-1 in the outfield. Daniels, Samuel, and Brooks. And the catcher is Rick Dempsey. Jeffries hitting .286 with 3 home runs, 6 runs batted in. And Wetteland's pitch, a high fastball hit out to fairly deep right field. Back in the warning track is Hubie Brooks, and he makes the catch. So 1 away, and the batter will be Kevin Elster.
We had Robin Williams in the booth last night. Hubie Brooks looks like Mork out there. Did you see the sunglass straps that he's got? With those antennae hanging out of both. Look at that. There's Mork.
Now the batter, Kevin Elster. Elster hitting .117 for the year, and he takes a fastball for a ball. There he is.
I'll talk to Hubie about that tomorrow. Hubie, one of the really delightful people in the game, I'll tell you. What a great guy.
Started his career here with the New York Mets, and the fastball popped up in foul territory. Dempsey making the call. And the veteran catcher makes the catch. MC, having played in 4 different decades in Major League Ball when he played in a ball game on April the 12th.
See where Minnie Minoso's tuning up for his 6th decade this year, 67 years old.
Yeah, but that really shouldn't count. I mean, that's a gimmick.
Yeah, that's right.
He got
it's
his.
Kind of fun anyway, though.
He got in his 5th decade when he played a few years back. Now Howard Johnson, the batter. Howard hitting .266, 7 home runs, 18 runs batted in. 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. That game won by the Mets. Johnson at .266. No score. We're just underway here at Shea on a very pleasant spring day. And Wetteland misses again. It's 2-0. Johnson's had a terrible time hitting against the Dodger pitchers in his major league career. He's hitting .217 with only 4 home runs. Got his first home run last year against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Darryl Strawberry even worse against the Dodgers, the team that he has said he'd like to go to. Fouled it back. Strawberry hitting just .185 in his career against the Dodgers with 8 home runs. He's on deck. And this one is popped up into shallow right field. So the Mets go in order, as well as the Dodgers in the first. The score at the end of 1. The Dodgers nothing, the Mets nothing. And here's a word from Express Mail. Viola, after working a 1-2-3 inning, into the dugout, having a little fun with Keith Miller. As we go to the top of the 2nd. And the leadoff batter will be Hubie Brooks. Brooks hitting .235 with 6 home runs, 19 RBIs. He gets a curveball on his first pitch. It's ball 1. Talking about Strawberry not doing well against the Dodgers. Hubie Brooks, signed by the Dodgers. He had hit only 1 home run in 140 at-bats at Dodger Stadium. Yeah. They said, let's go get him anyway. And there's a pitch, and Hubie off to a good start. He's had 6 home runs so far this year. On the 9th of April, he broke up a no-hitter by Bruce Hurst. He got a base hit in the 7th and then hit a 3-run home run in the 8th to give the Dodgers a 4-2 victory. That was the first game the Dodgers played this year. So he paid dividends right away for the Dodgers after being acquired from Montreal. There's that change of pace. The bread and butter pitcher of Frank Viola.
First baseman, number 9, Mickey Hatcher.
Viola has so much confidence in that changeup. That's a circle change. If you put your thumb and your forefinger about the size of a quarter and hold a baseball, that's how Viola throws that circle change.
And here's Billy Hatcher. He goes after the fastball.
He actually holds it with his last 3 fingers and puts his forefinger and his thumb together to form about the size of a quarter. And a hitter has a tendency to swing at the arm motion. The arm motion's the same as the fastball. And that right-hander, it is a very deceptive pitch. One of the best changeups around. I think the big thing this year, though, Ralph, he's been throwing hard.
Fastball is really much more, with more velocity than last year when he was 5-5 with the Mets. Ground ball hit to deep short. Hatcher can't run too well anymore, and he's thrown out easily by Elster. Billy Hatcher, the veteran, playing in his 11th year in the major leagues. Lifetime average of .282, but only 36 home runs.
Third baseman, number 27.
So 2 men out. That broke a string of 3 consecutive strikeouts for Frank Viola, and it brings up Mike Sharperson. Sharperson playing third base today, hitting .310. No home runs, 3 runs batted in. Jeff Hamilton, the regular third baseman for the Dodgers, just had surgery. Surgery on his right shoulder, so he'll be out of action probably for another 6 weeks or so. 1 ball, no strikes. And the off-speed pitch, the changeup for ball 2, 2-0. Mets players in a good mood today. That one right on the outside corner, 2-1.
I got my scorecard nailed down today, pal.
If you got pins in it, huh?
I lost my scorecard last night. Gust of wind came up. Dempsey on deck. A gust of wind came up. My scorecard was retrieved about an inning later.
That was really comic relief right there. And the fastball swung on and missed 2-2.
Was for you because you had yours.
You're
and I
going to
didn't
steal
have
mine, though.
Those right-handers, they get set for the changeup, and then Viola comes and blows the fastball by Sharperson.
Well, again, the fastball, it's fouled back. Count stays at 2-2. Dodgers in deep trouble. They're in third place, but they're 8 games back. Cincinnati continues to win. They're 20-6. The Dodgers are 2 games under 500. And of course, they have lost Hershiser for the year, and he's their ace pitcher. Jay Howell has also been lost, and that has really hurt them. Their bullpen has just been in dire straits. And again, the ball fouled off. Coming into this series, their bullpen was 3-4 with only 2 saves, and they had blown 4 games. And in their last 6 games, their earned run average, I'm talking about the bullpen, 7.11. Again, a ball fouled off. So their bullpen has really let them down.
Yeah, when you see a streak like that from a bullpen, you got to understand that there are some runs that aren't even charged to them because they're giving up a lot of starters runs if they come in with guys on base, for instance.
This one finally golfed out to right field, so Sharperson hangs in there, fouls off enough pitches till he finally can get a base hit, and that's the first hit of the game.
That was a great at-bat by Mike Sharperson, fouling off some tough pitches and staying alive and then going with this fastball the other way. Fine at-bat by the Dodger third baseman.
So a base runner for the Dodgers, and Rick Dempsey the batter. Rick has been up just 8 times this year. He has 3 hits. And the first pitch low for a ball. A lot of action going on with 2 men out by the coaching staff. Dodgers are 6th in stolen bases with 27. And that pitch is right on the outside corner, 1-1. Although the Dodgers are in trouble, trailing by 8 games this early in the year, San Francisco 11.5 games out, and they were the National League's West champions last year. 1-1 pitch, and it's fouled back out of play. You're watching Mets Baseball 90 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. No score, a runner at first. 2 men away. We're in the top of the 2nd inning. Frank Viola trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues. Just did miss. 2-2. Pitchers have been allowed to go to their mouth while on the mound. That is normally illegal. and they call a ball if they do. Doesn't seem to be that cold. 2-2 pitch. The runner goes. Double clutch by Lyons, and the throw down is not in time. So another stolen base by the Dodgers. And the Mets continue to have serious problems in that department.
Well, 68 have tried and 61 have succeeded in the stolen base department. The Dodgers with 5 stolen bases last night in the first 4 innings, and this throw high. Sharperson that time did not have a good lead, and you call it right, and didn't have a good jump. Lyons double clutched, and the throw was high.
Now at 3-2, a runner in scoring position, and the ball is fouled off. Sharperson back to second base.
On top of the Mets catchers' throwing woes, they have committed 9 errors, 4 by Lyons, 4 by Sasser, and 1 by Orlando Machado before he was sent down to Tidewater.
Sasser was catching in last night's ball game, and that's ball 4. So now runners at first and second with 2 men out. Alfredo Griffin will be the batter for the Dodgers.
Shortstop number 7.
First walk by Viola, and only his 6th walk in 44 innings. And it came on a 3-2 pitch. Griffin hitting .294. He has no home runs, but he has driven in 5. And the fastball that is called a strike. Griffin 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. He's had 1 hit in his last 12 at bats. And the fastball fouled away. It's strike 2.
I'll tell you, since Darryl Boston has joined the Mets, he has really graphically shown how deep the opposite fielders are playing with the Mets, both McReynolds and Strawberry. Now look how shallow Boston is. Now McReynolds has got to protect because a right-handed hitter is up, but look how deep Strawberry is. When your center fielder is playing more shallow than your opposite fielder, something's wrong, and Darryl should be in about 5 more steps. Of course, Keith Miller, inexperienced in center field.
And it's called a ball, so it's 1-2. That position that Boston has in center field is the shallowest position any center fielder has ever played for the New York Mets back in '62. Of course, going all the way back to '62, their first year, but in '62 it was excusable to play deep with the pitching staff that they had. Now here's a little nubber out in front of the mound, picked up by Viola, and he pitches out of trouble. A single and a walk, and 2 men left on. The score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Dodgers nothing, the Mets nothing, and here's a...
Oh no. Tommy, I think's gained back a little of what he lost. I guess he's on the road to having the convent and the house for the nuns built in Nashville, Tennessee. That's the reason he went on the diet.
Won a large sum from both Kurt Gibson, and Oral Hershiser.
$10,000 apiece, I believe.
I think they even raised the ante on that.
I believe that's right. Yeah, and the money went to raise a home for the Good Sisters down in Nashville, Tennessee. And then they had a benefit for them this winter, a benefit in which all of Tommy's friends in Hollywood, not all of them, because they're a bunch.
They couldn't get them all in one state.
Yeah, right. But a bunch of them performed, raised a lot of money for the Good Sisters in Nashville.
And Darryl Strawberry to lead it off, and he goes over the top of that pitch, strike 2. I think that when Tommy Lasorda wrote one of his books, he dedicated the book to his friends, and it was like pages and pages and pages of people. And the fastball fouled back, so the count stays at strike 2 on Strawberry, hitting .224 with 4 home runs, 11 runs batted in.
Well, Tommy's going to be part of the show. Tommy and Davey Johnson will be part of the comic relief show tonight at Radio City.
And John Wetteland misses with a fastball. It's 1-2. What a perfect name for a spitball pitcher, John Wetteland.
Wetteland, boy, I'll say.
Of course, spitballs are not allowed. Ever since, what, 1920?
I think, you know, Wetteland is, I think was it William Safire a couple of weeks ago in the New York Times Magazine was saying that Wetteland was the environmental name of swamp now. That is, that
they cleaned it up a little bit.
Yeah, they cleaned it up. That's exactly right. It's not a swamp anymore. It's wetland.
And the fastball is swung on a miss, so Strawberry continues to be unproductive.
So I guess the pitcher for the Dodgers, had he been named before the environmental movement, it'd be John Swamp pitching today, right?
Now Swampy's out there again. That brings up Kevin McReynolds hitting .295. Kevin with 4 home runs, 16 runs batted in, 2 for 3 in last night's ball game, and was hit by a pitch. We were talking earlier about the wild pitches that Wetteland had thrown last year. And he had only a few walks, and he was actually pretty good on control, but the wild pitches were his undoing. He had 16, 1 short of the record for the Dodgers. That is held by a pretty good pitcher.
For the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? Their first year out there.
And that was, of course, Sandy Koufax.
I'll say he's a pretty good pitcher.
So Dempsey gets another shot at a foul ball, and he does make the catch. So McReynolds fouls out, 2 men out.
This may seem very routine to some of you young catchers listening in, but an experienced catcher, only when you've tripped over your mask a couple of times do you understand that you wait to find the ball and then throw the mask. If you throw the mask initially and then find the ball, you find yourself stumbling over your own equipment, and that could be embarrassing.
And now the batter is Mike Marshall, the former Dodger, and he takes a breaking ball for ball 1.
Did you see Dempsey point at the left shoulder, at his left shoulder? That meant to Wetteland to keep the shoulder in, keep it closed.
Marshall hitting .222 with 3 home runs, and there's a strike call, 1-1. The last time that Wetteland was on the mound was in Philadelphia, and he left the ball game after 5 innings with a 5-1 lead, and the Dodgers blew the game. They lost 9-5 to Philadelphia. This ball hit in the air to center. Samuel in, and now back and over his head, and it's going to be at least 2 bases for Marshall, and Samuel having problems in center field as he did last year for the Mets.
No excuses for Sammy, but Willie Mays once again saying that this was the toughest center field that he played, or that he had to play. This slider hit well, but it should have been caught. Samuel backtracking, and now it's over his head for a double that should have been caught.
So now, a gift for Marshall.
Excuse me, Ralph. Now what do? Do you walk Boston to get the Lions?
I think it's too early to do that. I think they got to take on Boston and go at them without thinking of the intentional walk. Boston's been hot. Now hitting .273 for the Mets with 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. No score in the game. The Mets have their first base runner on the misjudged fly ball. That is scored as a double. And the first pitch to Boston, the ball.
Reason managers don't like to walk hitters intentionally in the early innings is it gives teams more of a chance for a big inning.
And a fastball and a good one, 1-1.
The later the game gets, then the more important just 1 run becomes. And that's why managers are inclined to intentionally walk hitters later than earlier.
2-1. The one thing that a pitcher in this spot, if he's a good pitcher, doesn't want to do is throw one down the middle. You try to pitch him and make the hitter hit your best pitch, and that's Lyons on deck, a right-hand batter.
So if you're a pitcher and you're a catcher, you have a wider strike zone with which to work to this particular hitter.
And it's just out of that strike zone, so it goes to 3-1. And right here, if you're a hitter, you don't really look for a pitch just to be thrown down in there for a strike, because with first base open, they got to make him hit a tough pitch, or should. That's a non-intentional, intentional walk. And he took something off of that, a great changeup on the 3-1 pitch, where normally a hitter would be looking fastball. And a very good pitch there.
Good call, and you set that up beautifully, pal. As though if you were the hitter, you would have been looking changeup or something off speed.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't be looking fastball. I would really take the fastball and look for something else.
Yep.
If I were the hitter in that spot.
And if you get a fastball right down the middle, you take it. What are you going to do?
That's really the secret of guess hitting or anticipating the pitches, is when you don't anticipate correctly, you take the pitch.
Up to 2 strikes.
Up to 2 strikes. A lot of hitters don't have the confidence to go to 2 strikes. They can at least do it up to 1 strike. Now the 3-2 pitch, and the fastball is fouled away, and that changeup on the 3-1 pitch set up the fastball. Because now if you know he's going to change on you on 3 balls and 1 strike with first base open, then you got to protect all ways. The science of hitting, and it is a science in most cases. Ball hit hard to left. Daniels can't get to it. Coming in to score is Marshall, and on the 3-2 fastball, Boston lines his base hit the left, and the Mets take the early lead.
Now, Darryl Boston has done a fine job. He got a big hit in last night's ball game to tie it in the 3rd inning. And now this base hit to left field puts the Mets on top.
So Boston on at first base with an RBI, and Barry Lyons now the batter. Lyons hitting .203 for the year. He does have 2 home runs and 5 runs batted in. Been bothered by a bad back, lower back spasm. There goes Boston, and the throw by Dempsey is perfect, and Boston is thrown out. So in the inning, 1 run on 2 hits and no one left on base. The score at the end of 2, it's the Mets 1, the Dodgers nothing. And now here's a word from manufacturer's handover. He tore
Wait a
it out
minute.
there.
That's not Darryl, of course. That's one of Pete Flynn's ground crew members. But Darryl Boston trying to steal second. And boy, what a throw by Dempsey. He threw to the bag, and Randolph was there.
Just a perfect throw, and that got the Dodgers out of the inning. The Mets leading 1-0. We're going to the top of the 3rd. And Frank Viola on the mound for the Mets with a record of 6-0. He'll be working to John Wetteland. John not up too often so far this year. He's been up just 2 times with no hits, and he takes the first pitch, a called strike. Mets have 2 hits. The Dodgers have 1 as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. Ground ball, bad hop, but a nice one for Howard Johnson. It comes right up to his eyes, and he puts it away.
That's a case of a bad hop being a good hop.
When is a bad hop a good hop? Right then.
Right then. Watch. Bad hop, good hop.
See the adjustment on the glove from being turned down to turn up. And the throw to Marshall at first base. That brings up Juan Samuel. And Juan takes a strike. Fastball for strike 1. Juan flied out to center field his first time up. This one bounced foul by Joe Amalfitano, the 3rd base coach. Samuel hit .228 for the Mets last year in 86 games. Overall for the year, he had 120 strikeouts. One of 6 active players to strike out 100 times over the last 5 seasons, and each year of the 5 seasons. Phil Bradley, Rob Deere, Jim Presley, Jesse Barfield are the others. Also Dale Murphy, along with Samuel. He also is one of 4 with 30 or more stolen bases in each of his last 6 years. Pretty good company right here. And this ball hit in the air to Elster at shortstop. The others that have 30 or more stolen bases in each of the last 6 years: Ricky Henderson, Tim Raines, and Brett Butler. So 2 men away, and that'll bring up Willie Randolph. Daniels coming out of the dugout into the on-deck circle as Randolph takes the first pitch for ball 1. Randolph was struck out his first time up. Viola got him with a fastball. Now he tries the curve and misses. 2-0. Lifetime .274 batter. You know, it's hard to believe, but Willie Randolph, Tim, came to the Yankees from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
In the Doc Medich trade.
Played with the Yankees so long, he just sort of thought he was a Yankee player. Fouled off the fastball, 2-2.
He was a great player for 13 years with the Yankees.
Lives in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey.
Mr. Steady.
His brother Terry played football for Green Bay and the Jets. He was the Pirates' 7th round draft choice in the June 1972 draft.
Was born in South Carolina but grew up in Brooklyn. Played stickball on the streets of Brooklyn a few years ago. Having a tough road trip.
First National League home run hit right here in this ballpark on August 22nd. It was a disastrous home run for the Mets. 2-2 pitch. Punched out to the second base side. Gregg Jeffries there. And the Dodgers go in order. The score at the end of 2.5. The Mets won, the Dodgers nothing. Now
he's in to come to the ballpark.
And give Mom a treat. Bring her along. First pitch to Barry Lyons, a fastball for ball 1. Lyons hitting .203 with 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. Mets leading 1-0. They have 2 hits. The Dodgers have 1. John Wetteland picks up a strike. It's 1-1. A little more playful action in the Mets dugout. That's a little different dugout than we saw prior to this homestand.
Mets 6-3 on this 11-game homestand, their longest of the year.
They won 5 of their last 6 games. Meanwhile, the Dodgers on their road trip 1-6. They have lost 5 straight. They use the eye in the sky.
Joe Ferguson, the ex-Dodger catcher. He was in uniform the past few years, and now he's their eye in the sky, radioing down to Bill Russell, who is moving the outfielders around, trying to get Cal Daniels' attention right now. And now he gets it, and Cal moves to his left. There you see Cal moving to his left. So they're more inclined to pitch Barry Lyons away.
They play him the opposite way, so they have to pitch him away, so they come right back inside.
They come right back inside, right. Sometimes you just can't get coordinated.
Those are little things, but they add up. You play a player one way, and you got to pitch him that way, and this ball golfed right into center field. So Lyons singles to center. Mets get their third hit, and it sets it up for Frank Viola to sacrifice.
Good hitting by Barry Lyons. That slider, a nasty 3-2 slider, low and away. Look at the location of that. See how fast it was?
Boy, that was fast.
Telling you.
Viola now in a bunting situation. Dodgers defense against the bunt. And it's fouled back out of play.
Tell you, Lyons nursing a sore left hamstring. And this is a good time to put on a bunt and run, where all you have to do if you're the hitter is just make contact. You can bunt it as hard as you like, and if the runner at first is running, makes it to second easily.
And Hatcher made a big break from first base. That makes it easier for the runner on first. He goes in a hurry. And it's bunted, and it's a good bunt. Hatcher over to Randolph for the out. The Lions down to second.
Gregg Jeffries.
Excellent bunt by Frank Viola. Hatcher's only play to Randolph covering.
So the Mets with the runner in scoring position. And the batter will be Gregg Jeffries, who flat out to right his first time up. Good job by Viola. And a fastball for ball one. Jeffries came into this game hitting .286. He was 0 for 5 yesterday. And that's ball two. Mets 5 games back of Pittsburgh with a record of 15-14. Pittsburgh leading Philadelphia by 3.5, Montreal by 3.5, and the Mets by 5. Bounces in the dirt, and it bounces all the way back toward the screen. And Lyons easily goes over to third on a wild pitch. That's Wetteland's first wild pitch of this year. He had 16 last year.
When you get the breaking ball in the dirt as a catcher, you're anticipating it. When you get the fastball in the dirt, it is very difficult to block, especially one of those 56-footers. That ball bouncing in front of home plate, and Dempsey really didn't have a chance.
And the Dodgers are playing their infield in, not fully in, but just about fully in. And there's a pitch for ball 4, and Jeffries walks, and that brings up Elster. Kevin Elster. Elster fouled out his first time out.
Now the infield drops back in double play depth.
First walk issued by Wetteland. And the slider high for a ball. Howard Johnson in the on-deck circle. Fastball for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Ron Perrin.
Fields hitting situation for Kevin Elster. Howard Johnson on deck. You've got to throw a strike here.
He's got it all his way right now.
Yes, sir. So does he.
Frank Viola trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues. 2-0 pitch, and it's called a strike, and it was a borderline pitch. Bud Harrelson, the third base coach for the Mets. Dodgers set up for the double play. To keep them from making that double play, you could use the hit and run. And there's the throw to first.
Good time to do it. So the good thing about baseball is you can defense anything thrown at you. So if the runner is running and the ball's hit to an infielder, you may think about coming home to get lines instead of going for the double play.
All these things you got to think about when you're in that infield, and also when you're pitching and catching. And there's ball 3, and that really sets it up for Kevin Elster. 3-1. Howard Johnson on deck. And Davy Johnson, if you follow the way he manages, likes to put the runner in motion on 3-1 counts. Jeffries has above average speed at first. He's running, and it's ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So the Mets with the bases loaded and 1 out, and Howard Johnson at the plate. As far as the Mets are concerned, it couldn't get any better. That's the man you want up there.
As far as Wetteland is concerned, he's in a quagmire.
So Howard Johnson, who popped out to the second baseman, batting now with the bases loaded. And the first pitch, ball 1. Action starting up in the bullpen. Tim Cruz now throwing. Mets leading 1-0 and threatening. Fastball, and Johnson takes it 1-1. That was the one he wanted.
Ball had to fool him. I think it came back because that fastball in that spot, that is Hojo's power spot right there.
7 home runs with 18 runs batted in. And it's hit on the ground to the second baseman Randolph. The throw to first is dropped as the throw is in the dirt. And the Mets get a run as Line scores from third. So the Dodgers with a chance to get out of it with a double play. And a bad throw by Griffin, the shortstop.
Griffin with an error last night. The Dodgers have committed 11 errors in their last 4 ball games, and this should have been a double play, but an in-between hop. Hatcher can't come up with it. Responsible for at least 1 run for the Mets.
Griffin does not get charged with an error on that because you can't anticipate a double play. He's made 8 errors already this year. And here's Darryl Strawberry with runners at first and third, and he goes through the fastball.
Speed does a lot of things too. Griffin realized he had to hurry the throw, and in the process threw that in-between hop.
Dodgers in yesterday's ball game missed a double play when Marshall hit into a force play. They should have had it, and it would have got him out of an inning where the Mets later on scored 5 runs. And no error was charged on that play. They got the lead man in the double play attempt. 1 strike pitch, swung on and fouled back.
Of course, that was the play where Kevin McReynolds went barreling into Willie Randolph last night. So an assist to Kevin McReynolds. He's on deck.
Harrell always having problems with the Dodgers, and that pitch outside, it's 1-2. Came into this game with a lifetime batting average of 185 against the Dodgers with 8 home runs. LA, of course, his hometown. Grew up there. Crenshaw High School. And a line drive base hit to left field. Jeffries scores. The play at third base, and going in there safely is Johnson on some great base running, and following the play down to second to Strawberry, and the Mets now lead by a score of 3-0.
And the crowd loves it. Darryl Strawberry's 12th RBI. Great hitting by Darryl. He has been struggling, but not there. Johnson, taking advantage of Daniels playing deep, goes to third, and Strawberry alertly to second. See, Daniels has to play Strawberry deep because of power the other way, and Johnson takes advantage of it. Excellent base running by Johnson and Strawberry.
Great hustle all the way around as Kevin McReynolds takes a breaking ball for ball one. McReynolds fouled out his first time up.
Mets have done a lot of good little things in these two games against the Dodgers.
And McReynolds lays off a inside pitch, and it's ball two. 2 balls, no strikes.
In baseball, good little things add up to good big things.
McReynolds has had better than average success against the Dodgers. He's hit .285 against them. He has the most home runs of any of the Mets players against the Dodgers, 16, and he takes there for ball 3. And first base is open, and Mike Marshall, the on-deck batter. So McReynolds should not get a cripple here on a 3-0 pitch. And he gets a breaking ball. 3-1. That pitch, not even a good pitch to hit if you were guessing curve. Three and 1 the count. Back with a fastball, sort of a half swing. The throw by Sharperson over to first base to Hatcher completes the inning. But the Mets get 2 insurance runs, and they had 2 hits. They leave 2, and the score at the end of 3 innings here at Shea, it's the Mets 3 and the Dodgers nothing.
And the first inning is the batter. Viola has struck out 3, he has walked 1, and the Dodgers have 1 hit. Right on the corner. Viola threading the needle. 0-2 to Cal Daniels. I'm telling you, when he misses by inches. He is really in a groove. 6-0 coming in with a 1.05 ERA. 2-2 to Daniels. Probably listening to the basketball game. Or Bob Murphy and Gary Cohen. Hit well to left field, but McReynolds is there, and he makes the play. 1 away, and a reminder that this game is brought to you in part by The Wiz. Remember, for anything in home entertainment, nobody beats The Wiz. And by the New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages. No other book can match it. New Jersey Bell, a Bell Atlantic company. Hubie Brooks now. Hubie a strikeout victim. Hubie 0 for 5 last night, and he takes strike 1, 0-1.
That 0 for 5 stopped a 7-game hitting streak.
What a change. What a change of numbers for Viola. Changing with Dave Magadan. And these are his numbers up to the minute. The ERA has dropped under 1 outside to Brooks, 1-2. Five earned runs in 46 innings. Jammed with a fastball is Brooks. Johnson, 2 outs. Viola wore the number 29 in high school. He also wore the number 29 in college when he pitched with St. John's. But when he signed with the Minnesota Twins, the Twins were in the process of retiring that number because it was Rod Carew's number. When he got here last year, Dave Magadan had the number, and Frankie didn't want to. There's Dave, who wears number 10 now. Frankie didn't want to ask Magadan for it. So Magadan relinquished that number this year in spring training. Hatcher now near the stands is Lions, a couple of rows back. 0-2 to Mickey Hatcher.
When you changed ball clubs, did you get your original number?
No. I think I wore about 6 different numbers. 15, 33, 2, 6, 11. That's 5.
Did you put in any superstition on the numbers at all?
No. I'm not a superstitious person.
I think it was Cesar Cedeno that when he was traded wanted the same number, not because of the number so much, but because all of his gold jewelry had the number that he had, and he couldn't afford to change it all over.
4th strikeout for Viola. Boy, he is really zipping along. He has a 3-0 lead, middle of the 4th. We're back after this from the Wiz. This copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the entertainment of our audiences. John Wetteland faces Mike Marshall, and he fouls one off. Any publication, reproduction, or use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and Sterling Doubleday Enterprises LP and WWOR-TV is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as by charging admission for its showing, similarly prohibited. No balls, 2 strikes to Mike Marshall. Nothing Mets. Here in the bottom of the 4th. Curve is fouled away, still 0-2. Well, we got some pastries from the very few members of Kappa Kappa Skew fraternity in Brooklyn.
Where is Steve Zabriskie when you need him?
That's right. Cap Askew, the brilliant line of Steve Zabriskie. When we referred to Len Dykstra in that strange game, July 4th and 5th, 1985, the 19-inning game, the Mets scoring 5 in the top of the 19th. Dykstra caught a ball with his cap askew, and that was the the start of Kappa Kappa Skew.
And for those of you who might wonder what Steve is doing now, he was here yesterday broadcasting a ball game for another network.
For ESPN, yep. 2-2 to Mike Marshall.
He reported in good shape, and his family's fine. Lynn and the 2 baby girls are all growing up, doing well. Lynn, who had some physical problems, is really coming back. We're happy to hear that.
Certainly happy to hear that. That's right. 3-2 to Marshall. Got him with the slider. So Marshall down on strikes. That's a 2nd strikeout for Wetteland. And the batter, Darrell Boston.
And on the Nissan National League scoreboard, San Francisco and Philly later, Houston playing in Pittsburgh, Chicago and Cincinnati, Atlanta and St. Louis, and Montreal and San Diego, all night games.
Matter of fact, this is not only the only night game or the only day game in the National League. There's only one other day game being played this afternoon, Baltimore at Oakland. And Darrell Boston wanted to bunt. He takes ball 1. Darrell with an RBI single to put the Mets on the board in the 3rd inning. Mets leading 3-0.
When Whoopi Goldberg said a nice remark about Boston when she was here last night in the clubhouse today, the ball players are all over Boston about that. They're really giving him a tough time.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it. His 2nd game with the Mets. He's a ladies' man and a very dapper in Woman magazine. He was named one of the 10 most eligible bachelors. Dancer he is.
She picked up that from the broadcast booth.
Ball and 2 strikes to the natty Darrell Boston. Fashionable dresser is he. Grounded sharply to Randolph. 2 outs. Along with our pastries from Kappa Kappa Skew, we also got some food from Lily Davidson. It's tough to watch our weight up here.
They're making it a hard season.
Yeah. Yum Yum. There's Lloyd Lindsay Yum Yum, the weatherman at Channel 9 and a big Mets fan. Obviously not Yum Yum, it's Lloyd Lindsay Young.
How come he brought an umbrella out here when the sun's shining brightly?
It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so it'll probably show up without one. 0-1 to Barry Lyons, and this one almost hit him. And he takes third base.
I mean, I've heard of guys being knocked down, but not knocked down all the way to the fungal circle out there.
Check this out.
Now this ball, this is really his fault. That ball isn't that tight. He just didn't get out of the way of it in time. Now watch where he goes, all the way to the fungal circle.
Barry, come back here. Sharply to right, so Lyons with his second hit of the day. Good hitting by Barry Lyons. A low and away slider the first time, lined to single to center. And now he rockets one to right. So Viola will bat with Lyons at first and 2 outs.
Frank Viola.
Frank, a sacrifice his first at bat. Certainly helped the Mets. Scored 2 runs in the third. 0-1.
The one thing about Barry Lyons' base hit is the fact that it clears the pitcher. You got the pitcher up, and you can start the next inning with the top of the batting order and not start it with your pitcher batting.
On a musical note, John Wetteland, who is a fine musician, he plays the clarinet and the saxophone, is facing Frank Viola. What a matchup. 1-1 to Frankie. Wetland's father, as a matter of fact, a very accomplished piano player and singer in the San Francisco area, very popular.
Yeah, he's one of the top entertainers.
As Jeff Mitchell shrewdly moves to Darren Reed in the dugout. And it's thrown away. Lyons is going to try for third and make it. So another Dodger error on a routine play.
Well, they cleared the pitcher with Lyons base hit, and now Viola sees Lyons go to third on the throwing. And the drop of the ball by Wetteland, and Viola's safe at first on the error. So the Mets now have their leadoff batter up.
I would think that is going to be an error on the pitcher. That throw was right there. And it was an error on John Wetteland. Gregg Jeffries now the batter. Ball 1.
You know, Wetteland was originally selected by the Mets in the draft, but he didn't sign. And he was drafted by the Dodgers.
Popped up, foul territory, near the tarp, Sharperson, and it's back into the crowd. Several rows, 1-1 to Jeffries.
The Dodgers didn't put him on their roster, and Detroit got him. And then he was left off the Detroit Major League roster, and the Dodgers got him back.
John missed the As you see, originally by the Mets, he missed the last cut by Detroit in 1988 in spring training. And the Dodgers reacquired him and didn't want to get rid of him to begin with, but they really had no other choice. 2 balls and a strike. If a player is left off the 40-man roster, the winter roster, he is vulnerable. He can be drafted. And this one ripped to right center. Good play by Samuel. Jeffries to second. Viola pulls into third. It's 4-0, New York.
Well, this run is unearned, and it's charged to Wetteland, of course, as he made the error at first base on the 3rd out. Samuel, a good job cutting that one off, and Viola has to hold at 3rd base.
Outside to Elster. Double number 9 for Gregg Jeffries and his 200th hit as a Met. Strike 1, 1-1. Good play, Dempsey. Viola scampering back to 3rd. 2 balls and a strike to Elster.
Dempsey does make a real good play. This is one of those 55-foot curveballs bouncing way out in front. And he uses that chest protector as a shield and blocks the ball. Viola very alertly coming up the line in that. He was ready to score.
Fouled out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Kevin Elster. 2 outs, 2 on, 4-0 Mets here in the bottom of the 4th. Hubie Brooks cheating in right field, playing a very shallow right field with 2 strikes. A batter with some power, but his power is to left field, not to right. See Brooks playing a shallow right field, and that is proper, especially with 2 strikes to Elster. Outside, 3-2 to Kevin. Hit. 1 run scores. Here comes Jeffries, and it's cut off. 6-0 Mets. And I think that's going to be all for John Wetteland. A costly error by Wetteland has led to 3 runs here in the 4th inning.
Well, a fastball up and out over the plate and line to left field. Daniels, who plays a deep outfield, couldn't get to it. The throw cut off, and the Mets get 2 unearned runs here in the 4th inning.
So Mike Hartley will come in to relieve John Wetteland, and Mike finds himself on the short end of a 6-0 deficit, and we'll see how the Dodgers attempt to come back after this. From
3 of them unearned. He has given up 7 hits, struck out 2, and walked 2 And his record against the Mets, if the Mets hold on and win this ball game, will be 0-3. He has been replaced by Mike Hartley, who has a record of no wins and no losses. He has no saves, an earned run average of 4.63. He's walked 5, struck out 16, given up 10 hits in 11 2/3 innings, a very high strikeout ratio. He was in the game yesterday, worked 2 innings, gave up 1 run on 1 hit, while striking out 4 batters. So Hartley, a strikeout pitcher, and he'll be working to Howard Johnson.
Howard Johnson.
6-0 Mets on top. Frank Viola has struck out 4. He has walked 1 and given up 1 hit. He is red hot. Ojo on the afternoon. He had an RBI on a fielder's choice in the 3rd, his 19th of the year. Now a check swing against Hartley, and Randolph throws him out. But the Mets played 3 big unearned runs. The error by Wetteland leading to those out of the Meadowlands, Meadowlands. These are the Dodgers at Shea. Right here on Channel 9, I'm Tim McCarver along with Ralph Kiner. If you're a Mets fan, you're happy. Not so a Dodger fan. The Mets lead 6-0 here in the 5th inning. Frank Viola is cruising. Strike 1 to Mike Sharperson, who has the only hit off Frank. Curve, another hit for Sharperson. So 2 singles by Mike Sharperson finds Sharperson at first base. Nobody out, and Rick Dempsey, the batter. The Mets beat the Dodgers 7 out of 12 times last year. The team split 3 games, split 6 games here at Shea. And the Mets won 4 of 6 at Dodger Stadium. Strike 1 to Dempsey, who walked his first at bat.
Dempsey's a survivor. He had a home plate collision with Bo Jackson and lived.
He said that collision got him out of Cleveland. Tim Cruz warming up. He actually told me that last night. He said that collision got me out of Cleveland. It broke my thumb. I was allowed free agency, and the Dodgers picked me up. I have nothing against Cleveland now. Rick said that. Okay. Just wanted to straighten that out. Your old team, the Indians.
I played in Cleveland, beautiful city.
Yep.
He said Bo Jackson went through him like whipped cream.
Bo goes through a lot of linebackers like whipped cream. 1 and 2 to Dempsey.
Is that the catbird seat?
Tapper toward third. Johnson will try for 1 and get only 1.
But Jeffries got out of that one alive. Sharperson put a big heavy slide on him. Actually didn't really go down, and Johnson lucky he didn't get hurt here. I should say Jeffries lucky he didn't get hurt here. Watch this. That's a high hurdle there.
Edwin Moses.
Yeah.
So 1 out now. Dempsey at first, and Alfredo Griffin the batter. Ball 1. Seeing that bird reminded me, on Thursday night I had the proud pleasure of narrating Peter and the Wolf, or the City College Orchestra, an 18 to 20 member group over on 64th Street, and the bird was the flute in Peter and the Wolf. 1-0 to Alfredo Griffin. Tapper foul as he tried to bunt. 1-1. And that night I found out the difference between a violin and a viola. A violin has an E and a C string. And a Viola doesn't. A Viola is slightly larger than a violin.
Viola's got a change of pace, a fastball, and a curve.
An E and a C. E equals CM squared, maybe.
All right.
I don't know. 1-1 to Griffin.
Where's Einstein when you need him? We need somebody to figure this one out.
2 balls and a strike. But at the time, I didn't know the difference between a viola and a violin.
One's bigger than the other, isn't it?
Well, viola's slightly larger than a violin, but the big thing is a violin has an E and a C string, which are, to my knowledge, higher pitched. And that's anything but Frank Viola, because all of his pitches have been down so far this season. 2-2 to Griffin.
Now, he doesn't need a higher pitch.
No. Got him on strikes, so Griffin is out of there, the 5th strikeout. And Jose Gonzalez, who was on deck, I believe, is going to be called back by Tommy Lasorda in favor of another pinch hitter. And it looks like John Shelby getting a bat. Very unusual request on this viola. The gentleman who was playing the viola in the City College Orchestra, as John Shelby will be hitting, asked me to sign his viola. I said, now, I want you to know what you're talking. You know, if I sign that viola, it will mar the finish. He said, that's okay. So I signed his viola, and I felt terrible doing it, okay? And I said, if you feel that strongly about an autograph on a viola, bring that viola out to Shea Stadium in late May, and I'll have the Mets sign it and have Frank Viola sign it right in the middle, and he's going to do it.
That sounds great. Probably won't sound the same. He might be out of work after he gets all those signatures on there, but he can trade it in.
That's right. I mean, here's a priceless viola that he's going to have the Mets autograph, carve into the wood. I felt like I was desecrating something as John Shelby rips one to right field. Pinch hitting for Mike Hartley. Shelby delivers. And the Dodgers with runners on first and second. And Juan Samuel, the batter. The Mets leading 6-0.
One more question as we
all right
keep this going a while. Stradivarius make violas?
I think they certainly make violins. I don't know about violas. The guys in the control room say not only violas, they make violins, violas, and cellos.
You're not going to believe anything comes out of that director's room, are you? Oh, okay, it comes from our audio man. He should know something about it.
That's exactly right. 1-0 to Samuel, who is 0 for 2, but he's hit the ball well twice. Stanley Mozart, our audio man,
stands right on.
1-1 to Juan Samuel. Inside, ball 2. 2-1 to Sammy. Dempsey at second base. And John Shelby at first. Boy, his RBIs have fallen off dramatically, cut in half last year, as you saw. Fouled off, 2-2 to Samuel.
When Samuel started his career, he was outstanding and on his way to being a superstar, but things started to go downhill for him, and the last few years have been very tough. In '87, he hit .272 with 28 home runs, 100 RBIs. Next year, he hit .243 with 12 home runs and 67 RBIs, and last year, he had just 11 home runs.
Grounded towards short. Fielded nicely by Elster and over to Jeffries. The Dodgers fail to score. They strand 2. Viola. Another shutout for Frank. He leads 6-0 middle of the 5th. And we're back after this from Meta Copier. Is in there here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And in for the play-by-play, Ralph Kiner.
Okay, Tim. Mike Hartley came in the game and threw just 1 pitch. And now replaced by Tim Cruz, who has a record of no wins, no losses, 1 save, an earned run average of 4.50. He's walked 9, struck out 20, given up 27 hits in 20 innings. He'll be pitching to Darryl Strawberry as his first batter.
Now the All-Star balloting for the game to be played at Wrigley Field in Chicago on July 10th of this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, leading off for the Mets, the right fielder,
About Dave Winfield.
Strawberry.
He was left off the All-Star ballot in the American League. And I guess the Yankees must have had some influence, because yesterday they tried to trade him. And that is the big story here in New York City now. They tried, and no one knows yet whether they're going to be successful or not.
And the first pitch to Strawberry, called strike. It will go to arbitration, and an
arbitrator
will decide. Winfield says he doesn't want to play with the California Angels.
Think that's a ploy to get more money in an extra year?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
He had said he would go to California. One of what, 6 clubs he would go to?
One of 7, yeah.
And now, because he is claiming the 5-10 rule, 10 years in the major leagues, 5 years at 1 club, you have the right to turn down a club that you might be traded to. Although his contract says that he would accept the trade. So it's going to be determined by an arbitrator whether or not the contract or the 5-10 rule will take precedent. And this pitch fouled away, a fastball, 3-2 to Strawberry. And the pitch back to Strawberry, fouled away again. Strawberry with a big single in the 3rd inning. Drove in a run for the Mets. He's 1 for 2 in this game. This one grounded to the second baseman. Randolph, the throw to first base, picks up the out. Remember, drinking responsibly makes good sense. Please know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser. Now the batter will be Kevin McReynolds. And the first pitch, ball 1. Kevin McReynolds certainly remembers Cruz, but I would imagine that Cruz remembers him more so. On August 30th last year, a grand slam home run hit off Tim Cruz by Kevin McReynolds. And that pitch, a strike call. It's 1-2.
Only grand slam the Mets hit last year, as a matter of fact.
It was the 7th by Kevin McReynolds in his major league career, and it capped a 9-3 win. McReynolds had a great August last year. He had 9 home runs at .283. And the breaking ball again, 3-2. Mets leading 6-0. 3 unearned runs. Walked him. So McReynolds is on.
We mentioned the Nissan American League scoreboard earlier. The only day game, that Baltimore at Oakland. The other games, Toronto at Detroit, Milwaukee at Minnesota, Kansas City at Chicago, Cleveland at Texas. The Yankees play at Seattle this evening, and Boston at California.
Mike Marshall now the batter. Marshall with a double his first time up. Later on scored on a single by Boston. Marshall also was struck out. And it's a strike. Mets about hit the Dodgers 7-3. And this pitch fouled off, strike 2. Marshall, the former Dodger, came to the Mets along with Alejandro Phenia for Juan Samuel. Two-strike pitch, and he's out of there. Got him with a curved ball, 2 men away.
Center fielder.
Mike tries to hold up the breaking ball off the plate away, and he can't do it.
So 2 men away. McReynolds still at first base, and the batter will be Darrell Boston, who's 1 for 2. Drove in the first run for the Mets back in the second with a single to left field. And strike 1. Almost a sellout here today. Big Saturday afternoon crowd. And finally a pretty good baseball day. Temperature close to 70 degrees. One more with the Dodgers to close out this homestand. It'll be David Cohn pitching for the Mets against Tim Belcher, the ace right-hander for the Dodgers. 1-1 pitch. Belcher last year had 10 complete games, and that led the major leagues. I should say the National League. That's the lowest total ever. Fewest complete games to lead the National League.
8 shutouts also led the National League.
And there's a strike call. It's 2-2.
Well, it just goes to show you how the game is changing and how the bullpen is being used ever more frequently by major league managers. Guys, and there's the bullpen of the Mets. Guys set their lineup against right-handers. Middlemen, you bring in left-handers, right-handers. Very adaptable.
And that pitch, a fastball for ball 3, a full count. So the first baseman drops behind the runner at first. And McReynolds will be running with the pitch. Runner goes, and Boston with a check swing pops it to the third base side, where Sharperson makes the catch to retire the side. 1 left on the walk. The score at the end of 5, make that 4.5. It is the Mets 6 and the Dodgers nothing. Talking about complete games, Tim. The Mets have had only 2 complete games, one by Viola and one by Sid Fernandez. They were both shutouts. They're only shutouts. With complete games, they've had 4 shutouts pitched. The other 2 combined.
Guy looks like he's carrying a Viola of sorts.
And Frank Viola misses again. The count 3-1.
I really shouldn't say a Viola of sorts. It's either a Viola or it isn't a Viola.
You got to check out those strings. 3-2, a foul tip. So Viola with a full count to Willie Randolph. On deck batter Cal Daniels.
I tell you, the Viola's got the world by the strings right now.
6-0, trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues without a loss. Again, it's fouled off. Viola came into this game with an earned run average of 1.05. And and it has been lowered to under 1 so far here in this game. 5 innings with no runs. Again, the 3-2 pitch. And it's chopped out to the shortstop, Kevin Elster. 1 away. Mike Maddox throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Cal Daniels now the batter for LA. Cal is 0 for 2. He's hit the Mets well. Lifetime average at 305. Good hitter. Acquired from Cincinnati. Born in Vienna, speaking of Violas. Vienna, Georgia. Daniels originally drafted by the Mets, but he didn't sign. And he hits it to the second base side. Gregg Jeffries to first base for out number 2.
I'll tell you, it's not this easy to get out big league hitters. I remember Frank Viola telling me in spring training that you didn't see the real me last year. And boy, how true that is. He has been something. And only 2 of his 6 starts has he given up a run. He gave up 4 runs to the Expos, but 2 of those runs came on a double given up by John Franco. After a balk, Franco had balked the runners to second and third and then gave up the double. So 2 of those earned runs against Franco given up by, or against Viola, given up by Franco.
Hubie Brooks, the batter, with a count of 1-1. Hubie has struck out, grounded out. Two balls, 1 strike.
He has really made it look easy, hasn't he?
But you know, you're right about it. It's not that easy because you run into streaks where the pitches are hitting those little borderline positions and you happen to guess right. Get the hitter out. When you do make a mistake, it's fouled off. But there's a time when it evens up. Nobody's ever gone through a season with no losses. The closest to a perfect season was Johnny Allen. Went 15-0 and pitched the last game of the season and got beat 1-0 for his only loss of the year. That was back in the 30s.
David Cohn went 20-3 2 years ago.
But Viola is certainly on a roll. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Got him with that great changeup. The ball down in the dirt. Hubie Brooks is struck out, then tagged out by Lyons to complete the strikeout. And a 1-2-3 inning for Viola. The score at the end of 5.5 innings. The Mets 6 and the Dodgers nothing. Now here's a walk.
That the Dow Jones has been up considerably.
And a new pitcher in the ball game for the Dodgers. Mike Maddox now the pitcher. Mike was in yesterday's ball game. Worked 2 innings, gave up a run, and also gave up 2 hits. He'll be pitching DeBerry Lyons. And he starts off with a breaking ball. Maddox, the brother of Greg Maddox of the Cubs. One ball, 1 strike. Jose Gonzalez now in left field, replacing Cal Daniels as they made a batting order switch, bringing in the right-handed pitcher. Little handle ground ball to the shortstop Griffin, the throw to first for the out. So Lyons, who was 2 for 2, is out for the first time today. That'll bring up Frank Viola. And the ground ball foul. Ground ball this time to the second base side. Randolph fields it, throws to first for the out. Mets leading 6-0, 2 men away, bottom half of the 6th inning, and Gregg Jeffries the batter. The play that broke this game open for the Mets, they were leading 3-0, was on a ground ball hit by Frank Viola. And the throw to first base was dropped by John Wetteland. That would have been the third out of the inning. The Mets then went on to score 3 runs and come up with a 6-run spread. Jeffries followed that error with a double. Elster single. They got the Mets 3 runs. Elster a 2-run single. Jeffries a 1 RBI double.
Brings us back to George Will's visit the other night when he said you give a big league team 4 outs in an inning and they'll beat you. And that's what the Mets did to the Dodgers and Wetteland in the 4th inning. Gave them 4 outs and they scored 3 runs.
Three and 1 to Jeffries, who is 1 for 2 today. He also has walked and scored, so he scored 2 runs.
It's like giving a football team 5 downs to get 10 yards.
This ball hit in the air to left field. Jose Gonzalez, the left fielder, is there. And he makes the catch, and the Mets go in order. The score at the end of 6. The Mets 6, the Dodgers nothing. And now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover.
1 out here in the 7th, and Mike Sharperson will be the batter. He's been on base both times. Single to right, a single to left. There's Michael. He has 2 of the 3 Dodger hits.
Third baseman, Mike Sharperson.
Mike originally signed with the Toronto Blue Jays, the starting second baseman for the Blue Jays back in 1987. Takes ball 1. One and 1 to Sharperson. Ball 2, 2 and 1. Another hit for Sharperson. So if he keeps hitting like that, he'll be a regular third baseman with Jeff Hamilton on the shelf. He's 3 for 3 this afternoon.
Right here, he gets it through the infield and has a perfect day going.
Greg Louganis attempting to make that catch. Hello, sweet face. Oh, isn't that a great looking child? Ground ball to second. It could be 2. Elster, Jeffries, Marshall. So Rick Dempsey grounds into a double play, the first double play of the game. And the Dodgers fail once again to score. It's 6-0 Mets, middle of the 7th. Big crowd here at Shea. Almost a capacity house. They are seeing the Mets and Frank Viola once again. Viola with another shutout. Will recapitulate. In this, his 7th start, he has given up runs in only 2. On the 21st of April against the Expos, and his last start against the Astros.
And Tim, it's the bottom of the 7th. A lucky fan could win $100 and a chance for a $10,000 bonus from Budweiser as a designated Bud batter. Stay tuned to Kiner's Corner for details.
A DBB. 1 and 1 to Elster. Dodgers and Mets wrap it up tomorrow afternoon. Then the Mets head for the coast in Candlestick Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as Elster flies to Brooks. 1 out here in the 7th, and Howard Johnson coming up.
Howard Johnson.
Sally Field's rendition of the Flying Nun, maybe. Got to get Hubie to clip those sunglasses, the sunglass holders there. The elastic band holding the sunglasses. This one a 1-hopper to Hatcher. 2 quick outs here in the 7th, and Darryl Strawberry coming up.
Right fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
Maddox has retired 5 in a row since entering the game in the 6th inning. Inside, ball 1. Darryl 1 for 3, an RBI in the 3rd. Driving in Gregg Jeffries. Fouled away, 1-1. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The Mets with 1 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, and 3 in the 4th. Fly ball to left field. Gonzalez. Glasses down, makes the play. So Mike Maddox has retired 6 Mets in a row. After 7, 6-0 New York, and we'll be back after this from leads it off of the Dodgers. Mets lead 6-0. And just a thought, in that Daily News commercial, Dave Winfield was out of uniform. 0-1 to Griffin. 1-1.
Yeah, he's a man with no country right now. He can't play for the Yankees and
can't even suit up anymore, can he?
No. Not until it's decided whether he is in that trade or out of it.
How about Mike Witt? I think Mike Witt can suit up. Is that right?
Yeah, he's going to go with the Yankees, but the Yankees say they'll complete that deal no matter what. Breakdown in his 21 outs today, 11 on the ground, 4 in the air, and 6 strikeouts. Now has 51 strikeouts. He needs 2 more strikeouts to tie Doc Gooden for the league lead in strikeouts.
2-2 to Griffin. Seems kind of strange that Witt can join the Yankees, filling out their roster of 25 players, and the Angels, who are struggling anyway, have only 24 players on their roster. 3-2 to Griffin. The appeal, no, says first base umpire Terry Tata. Don Ossie warming for the Dodgers. Got him on strikes. Strikeout number 7 for Frank Viola. 1 out here in the 8th.
This time he goes to the fastball and gets the fastball at the knees, kind of a borderline call. Griffin back to the bench instead of off to first base.
Jose Gonzalez now. I've always had the thought that Jose Gonzalez should have been a better player, that if given an opportunity, big numbers in the minor leagues, never more than 230, 240 at bats for the Dodgers.
Plays fine center field.
Yeah, good arm, good defensive player. 1-1 to Jose. The changeup is popped to short, and Elster makes the play. Take a look at how all this happened. It's been all Mets. Bottom of the 2nd, an RBI single by Darryl Boston opens it. Mets leading 1-0 in the 3rd. RBIs by Johnson and Strawberry. 3-0. Mets in the 4th. An error by pitcher John Wetteland gave way to an RBI double by Jeffries and 2-run single by Kevin Elster. It's 6-0 New York. And Juan Samuel takes strike one. 0-1 to Sammy, who is 0 for 3 on the day. 43,843 on hand to see another brilliant performance by Frank Viola. Change is low, 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Line Jeffries for the third out. Fine play by Gregg Jeffries. Still 6-0, middle of the 8th. We'll be back after this.
When he tossed the ball down the third base side, there was just no chance for Sharperson. So he wisely holds onto the ball, and the Mets have a base hit.
And a base runner. Mike Marshall 1 for 3 with a run scored. He doubled in the second. Little shallow fly ball. Hubie Brooks. And Brooks diving for the ball. McReynolds will try for third base. The Mets with runners at first and third and nobody out. I guess Tommy Lasorda's thinking here, our Brooks missed the ball.
Well, right here, Marshall doesn't think it's going to be fair, and he isn't too far down the line. McReynolds was holding near first, and when he saw that it was going to drop in, he took off for third and got there. And Marshall stays at first. So 2 bloop hits for the Mets, as they can do nothing wrong here so far today, and runners at first and third and no one out.
Darryl Boston a swing and a miss. Strike 2, 0-2. You were a big fan of Eve Arden and our Miss Brooks.
I watched that show. That's sort of my time.
Mine too.
She's a great actress.
Sharply to second, Randolph to Griffin, and the throw to Hatcher is in time for the double play, but McReynolds scores the 7th run of the game. Now a 7-0 lead with Barry Lyons coming up.
No run batted in on this play. You can't get an RBI when you hit into a double play, but the Mets get the run anyway. And that is the first double play pulled off by the Dodgers. The Mets also have pulled off one.
Lined by Lyons, and a great play by Sharperson to throw out Barry Lyons, who was vying for his 3rd hit of the ball game. The Mets score another run. They lead 7-0 after 8. And we'll see if Viola, top of the 9th inning, and Frank Viola is back. Trying for his 2nd complete game shutout of the season. He has been something.
And fans, did you know that every time a Mets player steals a base, you could win a new 1990 Nissan 300ZX? Just go to your participating Nissan dealer and enter the Nissan stolen base game. No purchase is necessary. You must be 18 years old and a licensed driver to play. And Tony Cruz of Smithtown, New York, was our today's contestant.
Rather appropriate to have Cruz the winner, because that's what Viola has done. He has cruised. And Willie Randolph on the first pitch pops to Elster at short. 1 away here in the 9th, and that'll bring up a pinch hitter for Mike Maddox. It looks like it's going to be Tony Gwynn, or Chris Gwynn. beg your pardon, but it's not. It's Lenny Harris.
And we'll check out the Nissan National League scoreboard. All the other games are at night. So the schedule shows you San Francisco and Philly, Houston and Pittsburgh, Chicago and Cincinnati, Atlanta and St. Louis, Montreal and San Diego. And only one day game in the American League.
Speaking of San Diego and Tony Gwynn, as I try to recover from that gaffe, we will see them next Saturday and Sunday on WWOR. The Mets go in there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3-game series. 1-1 to Lenny Harris. Outside, ball 2. 2-1 to Lenny. The Dodgers have been shut out only once this year. Every team in the National League has been shut out at least once, with the Astros and the Cardinals the most shutouts, 4. And Frank Viola 1 out away from shutting out the Dodgers for the 2nd time this year.
And checking out the Nissan American League scoreboard, Toronto and Detroit, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Kansas City and Chicago, Cleveland and Texas, Baltimore and Oakland. That ball game is just getting underway. New York and Seattle, Boston and California.
Hubie Brooks, the batter. Hubie 0 for 8 in this, the 2nd game of the 3-game series. He has struck out twice today. 0-1 to Brooks. Fouled away. No balls, 2 strikes to Hubie. Crowd on their feet. Ground ball to short. Elster over to Marshall, and Viola with another terrific performance. His 2nd complete game shutout, and the 5th time of his 7 starts that he is not allowed a run. The only times, again, that he has allowed runners or runs this year, the 21st of April against the Expos and the 7th of May against the Astros. 7-0, the Mets win it, and 7-0, Viola runs his record. Another flawless performance for Viola as he struck out 7, walked 1, and wins his 7th straight outing. Boy, he has been something. We'll be back with some further comments. Kiner's Corner following the ball game right after this from the American Dairy Association.